Good news team, it finally happened. After years and years of being at the mercy of jungle being the most impactful role in the game, and even weakling little support mains being a more impactful role than us, top lane is getting the biggest buff that it deserves, and looking to be one of the strongest roles in the next season. We're getting access to bonus levels, a ton more side laning power, and even access to 3 summoner spells on our champions, which is of course going to really increase the carry potential we gain in this role. So in this video I'm going to be breaking down every single change, what that means for our role, and what to expect in the new season. Now for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of good changes coming, not just for gameplay, but for the rank system overall as well, that I'm really excited for. But we're going to be starting with gameplay. What does this mean for us top laners? So major goals. So we're just going to summarize all these things here. They want more strategies in the game, because right now there are just too many objectives. You pretty much have to fight everything. Of course, there are some games we can play for tier 2s, but in general, you need to fight Artican. Fighting third dragon is recommended, and you have to fight Baron Soldier. There's just so much team fighting, it kind of feels like a lot of the time. Push, wave, fight, the next objective's coming in 2 minutes, push, wave, fight, that type of thing. And Artican sometimes takes multiple fights, so they're cutting down on that by removing Artican, and also just looking to change how the waves work and all of that good stuff. But we'll go through it one at a time. So removing Artican. This is really important, and I'd say a really good change for top lane, because Artican is a big reason why you can't really win through side very often. Now, of course, there are always going to be games that you can, but if you think about it, let's say you're not playing a game versus an autofill, or you're not in a free matchup and you don't get 5 plates and blow up the tower at 12 minutes. Let's say the lane ends kind of naturally, 14-15. You only have kind of 5 minutes to play through side lane. There's going to be a dragon and a herald in between that. You don't really have much time to play through side lane, because when Artican's up, you basically have to fight it. It's a game-changing objective. So now with that removed and replaced by Baron at 20, where Baron is a lot harder to fight, but one thing that not a lot of people think about around Baron, it's a lot easier to fight Baron as a top laner, because not only does it take them longer to do it, which means you have more time to push inside, you don't have to panic over being there straight away, but the terrain where Baron is placed, Baron and Dragon, is a lot easier. There's so many angles to flank, and a lot of carry tops, Aatrox and Bess, Renekton and Jack, all these champions, they love to flank, and if you've ever tried to flank around Artican, it's not very easy. There's a lane in the way where they can see him, there's really thick walls, so it's very difficult to fight through them as a top laner compared to Baron. So I really like this change. It gives you more time in the game, and Artican is not a permanent, is the only permanent objective, you know, compared to Baron. So with Baron being temporary, even if you lose Baron, still bad, but doesn't really feel as detrimental. And again, they're going to get obliterated by Baron, so that just means it gives you a higher chance of winning that fight. So really, really good change here, and they're making the dragon and stuff all that tankier, which just takes people longer to do it. Again, giving you more time in the side lane, and I do like this because it means that if you're the team behind, let's say your bot lane got, 0-5, 0-6 for the 10th game in a row, and we lose 2 dragons, the 3rd dragon's going to be easier for your team to take than the enemy team, so that is a nice change as well. Vision. So initially I don't really care about this, it's for supports to worry about, but there's pretty much placing a area, a Fey Light, where if you put your ward down you get bonus effects, duration, more vision, all that good stuff, and they're trying to put it in positions that allow you to split push very easily. So I really like this. Yes, we can't really rely on supports to do that, but the thing to keep in mind is this is pretty much a cheat code to make the role easier for them, and it's very likely they're going to be putting their wards there more often, where if you're split pushing top, it might be obvious for you, like if you get a couple wards in top jungle, it makes my job a lot easier as a Fiorum, but if there's literally a marker, hey, you should ward here, it's going to make it a lot more straightforward for them, and even if they don't, you can get the ward there yourself. So nice little buff to vision here, allowing us to side lane a lot more. Pushing. So right now they said some say split pushing is the best strategy in League. It's probably the worst strategy in League at the moment. There's a reason you don't see very often. There are definitely some, but you don't see very often Challenger Yorick or Challenger Alawi or Tryndamere these days. It's very, very rare, because split pushing is just one of the weakest states that it's been in the entire of League. So now that they're trying to change that, really, really good idea, because a lot of those champions just feel pretty useless in Masters Plus there. It's a really nice change, and they're looking to make plates easier to kill. Now, they're probably assuming, oh, if you hit it 3 times, you get a big buff of damage. They're probably assuming that means you can break towers on any champ you want. But in reality, that's just going to mean champs like Fiora, champs like Gwen, who already eat towers, are going to do it a lot better. And this will be a little bit of a buff to side laning champions that don't obliterate towers, like a Yone and stuff like that. I feel like it's a pretty good change for them. Even like as a Hin, pretty nice change for him as well, because you have on hit, of course, with your Q, the multiple procs. So nice little change there. One little nerf that's getting glossed over is Demolish nerf. So as it is right now, Demolish, you have to go near the tower and it starts ticking down. You walk up, whack it once and get that Demolish proc, which is really good for lane, because if you crash a big ass wave, while the wave is coming in and settling, you can start procking the Demolish, and if they go on on you, they'll take a bit of the wave, and then you only have to hit it once and then dash away. So you can just auto-attack and Q away on Jax, for example. Now you have to hit it 3 times, which means the game plan versus Malphite versus Ornn, where you want to be demolishing the tower if you can, it's going to be a lot harder, as you have to hit it 3 times now instead of the 1. So it's a little bit of a nerf, but I'd say it kind of evens out because they are making it easier to split push towers, of course, with the on-hit stuff that they're doing here. Now changes to home guards. I mean, this is nice just because junglers don't get it. If you run into the jungle, you lose your home guard boost. So right now you can, on this change, you can boost all the way to your tier 1, but if you run into the jungle, you lose it. Love that. Any buff that affects laners and doesn't affect junglers, I'm happy to see it there. Now, this is also a really, really good change. So, minions spawning every 25 instead of 30 in the mid game, and then 20 seconds in the late game. I'd love to see the numbers on this. When is mid and late game to Riot? But the main reason why this is good is right now, you can pressure a tower every 30 seconds, right? So every 30 seconds, you kill a wave, you can hit the tower on that wave, or every wave you kill gives you 30 seconds of time to go and roam. Which means if you kill, let's just say 2 waves and push under tier 2, that's an extra minute, right? Compared to if you didn't kill that wave. But now it's only 50 seconds or 40. So that means it's a lot more skill expression. You have to make your plays quick. You have to time it really well. I really like that. I know a lot of players are going to struggle with that timing. A lot of players hate if I just leave the enemy top, it's going to break my tower. But it gives a lot of strategy to, crashing your wave, making your play really quickly, arriving at dragon at the perfect timing when the fight's ready and TPing back to side. Or if your opponent leaves the lane too early, your wave's going to push faster, which means you can break the tower faster. And also if you're playing a matchup where you can break the tier 2, but it takes you 2 or 3 waves, that's going to be a lot faster than it was before. So I like this change. It's really pressuring. It adds a lot of skill expression to mid-game top laners right now. Where at the moment, a lot of it is just push out the wave and look for a fight. That's kind of simplifying it. Of course, there's skill to it. But I like this. It gives you a lot more options and skill expression in terms of you can pressure a tier 2 every 20 seconds. That's pretty hard to play against. This is a big buff for champions that can pressure towers like Jax, like Fiora, and a lot harder for champs like Ornn or Rumble, who pretty much just don't want the side wave to exist and just want to go and fight everyone. And as you see here, there are also a bunch of new items in the game. We're going to come back to items, everything timestamped below, because I don't want to get blinded by this massive wall of text. I actually want to see the item icon and all that good stuff. Role quest. So this is going to be the most exciting change for top lane. So pretty much what it is just by playing the game, killing minions, champs, place towers, pretty much just playing the game, you progress towards your quest. Now, I really want to see the numbers on this. That's going to be a really good indicator on just how strong it's going to be. But regardless, it is going to be extremely impactful. So every role has a quest that they progress towards. So top lane. Top lane, you can see right here, they agree with us. We just don't have enough agency in the game. There's not enough agency in the game at the moment for top, and I definitely agree. I'd say out of all of the roles, it definitely has the least impact overall because of just how this game is balanced at the moment. Top lane is the most isolated, it's harder to join the early game, and the early game is just so important at the moment, and it's pretty hard to utilize your 8-second TP to get stuck in. Of course, there are games where if you blow up 5 plates in the tower on a champ like Jax or Zahin, you're going to 1v9 the game, but in high ranks, it's not really a consistent strategy. If you're versus a good player, playing a real champion like a Rumble or something broken, you're not going to blow up his tower 1v1. So I really like that they're trying to buff the role overall. Now, the most exciting change here is the extra summoner spell. So the thing is to keep in mind, initially when I heard this from my students, I thought it just meant you're loading into the game with 3 sums, but that's not how it is at all. Upon quest completion, that's why the numbers are really important. Is your quest done at 20 minutes? Is it done at 15? So that's going to be really important to know, because that really decides what summoner spells you can take. Because if you just take teleport normally, let's say you don't get the quest done until 15. You're still going to need teleport on the majority of champions in top lane, and teleport just gets upgraded into one with a big shield. So you can kind of see it'll get stronger, providing a large max health shield on use. So that's not amazingly impactful. It's definitely not nothing, but a lot of the time you rock up to the objective early and TPing into the objective late, even if you have a nice looking shield, it's not going to be as impactful as just being there on time. So I don't think this is a massive change to teleport. If the quest completes, pre-10 or pre-12, that's a game changer, because on champions like Olaf or Darius, they use Ghost and Flash really well. Even Zahin is a good Ghost user. Now you get teleport as well, which is really important. So for those of you who don't know, once you complete the quest, if you don't have teleport, you now gain teleport. So that means on champions like that I just mentioned, even Ignite users like Fiora, Riven, champs like that, this is going to be a very, very nice change. But if you get the upgrade very late, like 15, 20, 25, then it's not going to matter. You're not going to take Ignite Flash on Malphite top just because you get free TP at 15, 20 minutes, stuff like that. So it's only going to really matter in the lane, in the laning phase, depending on how early you get this. But regardless, this is still a massive buff to champs that don't take TP anyway, because now you get teleport for free. On Darius and Olaf, you're not going to take TP. Right now, you're not going to take it next season, and now you gain teleport later, and everyone's experienced getting fed on an Ignite champion, like maybe Set, or like Olaf with Ghost, and now if you get TP, let's just say 15 minutes, I feel like it's going to be around 15, that's my prediction. You get TP at 15, it makes your mid-game options really good, especially with all the changes to side laning being more valuable, having TP on these champions, really, really impactful. So I'd say it's really going to warp the meta a bit. Champions that don't normally take teleport, their stocks go up. Champions that will always take teleport, like I said before, tanks like Ornn and Sun, you're not going to go Ignite Flash Sion or Ornn, stuff like that, or, champs like that. It's going to be really impactful for them. So really, really nice change. A lot of the champions that benefit from it are champs that are fun to play, in my opinion, champs I really enjoy them. So I like this a lot, and that just means you can take Ignite Flash more often as well. So a champion like Jax, not having TP feels a little bit bad, but having Ignite feels really good for some matchups. This feels really good for that. Same with Fiora as well. So I really, really like that change. Really good to see them. Now for mid lane, they get boots and an enhanced recall. I see a lot of mid laners memeing that top lanes get all this stuff and they just get the recall. Look, you're in the center of the map, your champs are OP, so it is a trade-off, but the 4-second cooldown is pretty underrated. That just means you can play side lane a lot more. Because if you see people coming with the enhanced vision that we talked about, the vision things, you just base when people are coming, kind of the same as TPing out. So there's a little bit of an underrated change. Having this always is pretty broken, not just having it with Baron or one time with Herald. So this is definitely nice. Not as strong as the top lane one. Top lane gets the biggest buff because it's the weakest role, but definitely a nice change there. 80 carries, so I think the other roles just complain. We just silently cop being weak every year, but you can see here, they get a 7th item slot. And yes, not many games go to 7 items, of course, but they also get extra gold as well. So, of course, it's going to depend how much extra gold they get, but getting extra gold from minions, kills, champions, everything for the rest of the game, that's really impactful, and that accelerates your 3rd item, your IE, your 4th item, your Lord Doms. So even though the 7th item might not be as juicy, getting accelerated gold income is very underrated. You can imagine it might not be Gangplank level, but Gangplank gets his items so quickly, so this is sort of, a change like that. A champion that builds carry items and getting extra gold is a little bit OP. So, of course, it depends how much gold they get, but 80 carries, stop crying. You're going to be very, very rich with this change. Don't tunnel too hard on the 7th item meme there. Jungle and support, you can see, this is my favorite sentence in this whole blog here. Jungle by far is the strongest role in the game. A truer sentence has never been said, and they're not really getting anything too much. A stronger smite, which is fine. I feel like people stealing junk like the Baron on champs like Syndra or something is a little bit mean, so it is definitely fine. It's too game impactful. I feel like, yes, 50-50s will still exist because both junglers have smite, but I feel like if you kill the enemy jungler, the enemy team shouldn't be able to steal Baron off your jungler even if he's terrible, so I actually kind of like that change. And then increase golden XP and all that. They're also slowing down the, I don't know if it says it here, but they're slowing down jungle's clear, which any nerf to other roles is a buff to your role. If you think about it, especially the strongest role in the game. So I think this is a really, really good nerf. Right now, jungler's clearing at 3 minutes on Zed, Talon, Kiana, all these bullshit champions. I think really a nice change to see there. And support, they just get to buy pink wards, pretty cringe for them. I'd say that's the least exciting change here. But again, support is a little bit OP at the moment, so I like the direction they're going. I actually really didn't think about making quests for roles specifically. I think it's a really good idea, because at the moment, support is OP, but it's kind of like they got discovered. It's not like the role got super, but it did get some buffs, but it's more like people realize, oh, we can just run around the map. We can rock up to Void Grubs at 6 minutes and just completely carry the game. So I really like this change. Last year, or maybe year before, they tried to make top lane stronger by adding Grubs, but all that did was make support stronger, because in most, especially high rank games, whichever support is better, gets there first, carries the grub fight. So they're actually making role-specific buffs and, tiny buffs for the already broken roles, which is jungle support. So really, really nice changes overall here. And one thing we didn't expand on enough before we move on to items is the increased level cap. Now, everyone is saying it moves up to level 20. They don't really say it here, but I'll take the word for it. And this is an amazing change from the perspective of a top laner, because a lot of people are going to complain about it, but right now, top laners get heavily outscaled by mid AD carry and most junglers. The thing I like to teach my students is, especially if you're playing a bruiser champion like Aatrox, like Renekton, is you need to push the pace of the game during that 1 to 2 item spike. Because later on, when the AD carries get IE and Lord Doms, and mid laners start to get Def Cap, Void Staff, all that stuff, they are going to outperform you 9 times out of 10. Just imagine a 40-minute game, and you're a bruiser champion, and everyone has full build level 18, you're going to be one of the weakest champs in the game. You're going to get one shot by everything, and you're mainly just building survivability, because you're not ahead of the curve anymore. But with this new level system, it closes the gap between mid and AD carries, and a lot of junglers hard outscaling top lane as a role. Yes, there are exceptions. Gwen is going to outscale, some like Galio mid or something like that, but I'd say overall, most top laners get outscaled by most mid AD carries, so this is a great change to see here. One thing to keep in mind, this is going to benefit certain top laners a lot more than others. Specifically, one that comes to mind is Darius, who has one of the best level scalings in the game, because from level 13 onwards, he gets a ton of bonus extra AD on his passive. The scaling is insane. He gets bonus AD every level, but 13 onwards, it really starts to amp up. So now he gets level 19 and 20, a ton of bonus AD on top of that, on top of, the extra AD, HP, all the stats you get from levels. So really, really nice change for him, and a lot of other top laners in that similar boat. Moving on to the items, and we're going to be going through all of them one by one and how they're going to affect top lane, starting with the one that's not going to affect top lane at all. This is pretty much a support tier item, so this is not really going to be anything you ever build in top, unless you played top lane Ivern or something ridiculous like that. This item as well here, mainly for AD carries. After casting your ulti, your next 3 attacks gain attack speed and crit. If you're going to crit anyway, it does true damage, so maybe on champs like Vayne top that I hope none of you are playing, it can be good as a second or third item, not as a first item because it doesn't really give any AD, so the build path is pretty ugly for a 1 core. This item here, so tank item, when you drop below 30% HP, you regenerate a bunch of HP over 5 seconds, and you gain tenacity, movement speed, and size. So you can imagine on a champ like Mundo, that's everything you want in a champion. So HP stackers like Mundo, like Cho'Gath, and I even think on a champ like Cassante, is going to be pretty good as well when you already build some resistances as it's a flat HP item. So maybe third or fourth, it can be good, especially in games where you need more MS and tenacity to stick onto people. It's not really going to be a bruiser item. All it gives is health. So you can imagine on a champ like Aatrox, who you might like tenacity and movement speed, building 600 HP, pretty horrible, so not really going to be built on champions like that. This item here is mainly for tank support, so unless the price is ridiculously cheap, like some metas where support items are just too OP, where you can build them on top, I don't think it's going to be really built on any top laners, unless it's like 2000 gold, something stupidly cheap. Can be good if you have an attack speed of using jungler. This item here, so this item is mainly for mana users like Rise. So for 8 seconds, it's an active. Your spells cost double mana, and you gain extra damage from that. So extra ability damage, shielding, healing, all that good stuff, and your cooldowns go faster. So probably for top laners, just Rise top, maybe a Nivea top if you're into that, it can be good, but not really anything many top laners will build. If you think of all the Seras Embrace building, tier stacking, mana stacking champions in top lane, not very many. Rise is even, very rarely seen there. But now we get to the juices. This item, really nice for top lane. Pretty much a raid boss item, AD, tenacity, and omnivamp, everything you want. Because right now the only tenacity item you can realistically build, if it's not a Merc Treads game, is Steraks. And Steraks has been nerfed 47 times, so it doesn't feel amazing to build. But now you can build this on a champion like Zehen, which would be amazing. Even a champion like Riven, it would be quite good. So massive fan of this change here. I think it's really good. Even Aatrox, even Ambessa, it can be good on all of those champions. So I'm really liking the idea here. Of course, the build path and cost matters a lot, but really, really good fan. Big fan of adding an Omnivamp item back in. They haven't really had that this season here. When an enemy champion dies within 3 seconds, gain 10% Omnivamp for 8 seconds. So that means you're going to have 15% if you get a takedown. Definitely a 1v9 raid boss item, just what we like to see in top lane. Now this item here, this one's quite interesting. You apply your on hit an additional time. So it's a spell blade like Sheen or like Triforce, but it applies your on hit twice. So it can work for Kayle, can work for Jax ulti, but the build path, I have seen it, it's pretty awful. Anything related to Jax, I have to check the build path straight away. It's like Blasting Mod, Kindle Gem, not what you want to be building on Jax, and that means you can't go Triforce as it's a spell blade. So I think this item is mainly for Kayle and Gwen, those types of champions, but can be very, very good here. and Snowbow. So this is mainly just a AD carry item, not really anything we're going to be building in top. So 10% damage based on how far away the enemy is, kind of a cool idea. And when they die, you gain additional range. So you could imagine top lane, not really many champs going to build that, gives critical chance as well. So nothing except for, maybe Vayne and stuff, but it doesn't really seem like a Vayne item as it gives no attack speed. So even then, you can't build it. Maybe something like Quinn, it could be possible, but there's just going to be better items for him. So I'd avoid this item on day one. Assassin item, so top laners don't really play assassins. We have more self-respect than that. So this item, a lot of lethality here, haste, dealing ability damage to a champion, deals true damage, we don't care. We're not killing the neutrals, we are killing towers only. Taking down a champion with 3 seconds. Grants game health for 90 seconds, don't know what that means. Your next attack against an epic monster, that's what it means. Deals an additional 240 true damage over 3 seconds. Again, this is for assassin junglers. Hopefully, I was hoping they would remove like Zed and Talon and stuff, but they gave them an even better item. So something to look out for, but their role's getting nerfed, so I will let it slide. So I would say for top lane, the main items to keep in mind is definitely these two, but specifically this one. This is a really, really good item on AD Bruiser, kind of raid bossy style of champions. And if I had to guess when, I would say third, maybe second item if it's overtuned on release, but very likely a third item. And finally, we have the rank changes, and there's some more changes here that I'm excited about. I'm really looking forward to them. I'm probably the only one that you're going to hear say that for, but I've seen a lot of negativity, a lot of complaints. So we're going to be the one guy that just gasses up these changes because I'm a big fan. Autofill. So, as it is right now, autofill makes a lot of games extremely imbalanced. So any change to this, I'm a big fan of. Because right now, especially in higher rank, if you look at your jungler and you see it looks like he's on drugs and just completely sprinting it down, doesn't know what he's doing, most of the time if you check the game after, he's not actually on drugs, he's just an AD carry main or support main trying to play Lee Sin and not having a good time of it. So any changes to this making games unbalanced, really, really good. So what they're doing here is they're rewarding you for playing well. I think they need to fine-tune this. A mastery score of C is really easy. You can just probably full clear and not die and get this. But I still really like the change here. If you get a mastery score of C, you get no LP lost if you lose the game, and if you win, you get double LP. This is awesome. I feel like they're going to have to fine-tune it, because if that's how it is, I want to get autofilled every game, carry some boats and logs on Zillion support, and just get 50 LP every game. But either way, this is a really good idea. They might need to fine-tune it, but this is really cool to incentivize people to play better when they're off-rolled. Really, really cool to see. Now, dodging as well, and also rewarding people that are good at off-roll like me. And one thing that I want to note, it may seem a little bit biased, it may seem a little bit cocky, but in my opinion, top laners are the best off-rollers in the game. Top lane is the hardest role in the game, so the players are more skilled. Most of the time, if you have an off-roll and they're playing well on jungle or support, or they're going to be a top laner, not really AD carry, but that role doesn't matter. And I would say support and AD carries can't really off-roll, junglers can't really lane, just tops and mids. Tops and mids are very good at off-rolling compared to the other roles, so this change benefits us a lot more. Yes, not every top lane is going to be good at off-roll, but I'll just say overall it's a good change for top lane. Dodging. So I really like that they're just pretty much removing this from high elo, and you still maintain your autofill if you dodge on it, and it counts as a full loss in Master Plus, so this is a really, really cool change. So, what this means is, you're going to get more efficient days in, more efficient blocks of games in. Because right now, dodging, I hate dodging, no one really likes it, but it makes you at a disadvantage if you don't do it. Because you've seen a lot of games where you see the enemy comp, you're like, sweet, free win, and they dodge. So if you're also not using that, you're at a disadvantage. So it kind of adds a skill that's not League of Legends related. So I hate dodging, so I'm a really big fan of them doing this. Yes, so you might get the odd game. I see where people are coming from when they complain. You might get a game where you just know you're probably going to lose from champ select and you can't dodge, but the enemy team will have that as well. It will balance out, and this combined with the autofill people sweating, really, really good change overall, and it's just more efficient. You don't want to play 2 hours of League, but it takes 3 hours total because you're dodging and loading into the game for too long. Faster time to the game. Now, you might be surprised that I really like this because I'm not some zoomer with a mushroom haircut watching TikToks, but I like this because I don't like wasting time either. Like I just mentioned, it's taking 3 hours to play 2 hours of League. Not a fan. Any change so that they can speed up the process. Boom, game starts faster. Yes, it means you're going to have to sprint to the toilet to get your toilet break in. Your pre-game poo is going to have to be a rush there, but definitely is a cool change. Really just speeding up the game overall. No dodges and faster time to the game. You're probably going to get a time save on around 20%, I'd have to guess. So, big fan of that. Rank skill distribution, I don't really care about this that much. I just give you a little sign. This guy's climbing, his MMR is higher than his rank. I don't think that's a big change. I think it might even have some negatives. If you see a couple people with that on the enemy team, you might be a little bit scared. So I don't really get the idea with that there. So not a big fan of it, but I guess it doesn't really change that much. Now, other than that, they're just changing Flex Q, Solo Q, Flex Q, no one cares about that. I wish they would remove that and bring back rank 5s. That's how you know the season would be perfect if they did that, but it's fine. I don't really like that they're re-enabling Duo at all ranks, including Challenger. I think that makes it unfair. You can imagine somebody really good like Viper duoing with a jungler. It's going to make it really unfair, but it says most regions and it doesn't apply to Korea, so it doesn't affect me at all. So you snooze, you lose. Anyone that hasn't moved here yet, definitely it's going to suck for them a little bit. So I kind of don't like this change out of everything. That's the only one, but it is a good balance by adding these three: the dodging, the faster time, the ages. I'm a really big fan of the season overall. I feel like every top laner out there, the role has been a little bit weak for a few years since supports got better, since junglers got better, and the roles have just been stronger. This is definitely a really good step in the right direction for the rank system and top lane as a whole. So I hope to see you all in the next season, and let's look forward to it.